Alright, so most of these invasions are going to be on my, I guess it's just in melee intelligence build. It has the ability to use spells and castings and things like that, but I really want to stick to like the melee approach and the Asher Wars. They come on the weapons. I guess I have a few Asher Wars. The default one on the Moonlight, the default one on the Moonville, Glintstone Pebble, the Ice Spear for like turtles and shields and people who want to like stand in your face at range and try to drink, things like that. But I have a few other ones like Waves of Darkness and things like that, but you know, a lot of them are just situational. Like my main weapon is the Dark Moon Greatsword. It's, oh gosh, it's terrible in PvP. Like the player can make this weapon good, but I mean they'll do way better with almost any other weapon. Like I've actually recently been using a magic infused claymore, and even that's better. The whole, even though like the whole great sword like class is just poop, like it's doo doo water. Like I don't know how else to explain it. Yes, you can do well with these weapons. I'm not saying like if you use a great sword you're gonna be trash and you're gonna die or anything like that, but I will say you'll do significantly better with like a colossal sword and poking things, or Rivers of Blood, or Moonville, or you know, dual wield spears. Damn near anything in the damn game. Like you're gonna do better. This weapon class sucks, but it is fun to use and it's very rewarding when you pull off and you know get those good kills and those good duels and invasions won, because you know you worked hard for it. Like nothing was handed to you. Like I use Moonville, don't get me wrong. Like I know I like rag on Rivers of Blood. That's just for me. I actually have zero problems with Rivers of Blood, but it triggers people when you put it in a title, and it's just funny watching the comments. But actually the only thing I really have a huge problem with in this game is Bloodhound Step. Whether you think it's fair or not, that's fine. I'm just saying I personally have a problem with it. But like I put Moonville on this build for people who use Moonville, people who are dual wielding spears with Bloodhound Step, Rivers of Blood, things like that, just to make it, you know, equal. Like if you're gonna use those things, I'm gonna use something like that too. Like it's just my mindset. I don't pull them out in normal invasions. Like I don't mind getting ganked. It's not like I default to that weapon. I actually start every invasion with either like my magic infused claymore or the Dark Moon Greatsword. It's just when I spawn in and I see dedicated gankers standing there with everything, some, for lack of a better word, I'm going to call it cheese, but I actually don't think anything's really cheese besides Bloodhound Step, but let's just call it either cheese or meta weapons. When I see them standing there with, just waiting on me, like, come on, man, like, I'm going to survey a situation. If it doesn't look good, give them a taste of their own medicine. A lot of people don't like that. A lot of people come in and say, you're complaining about this or that, and you're using this or that, and I will tell them, I don't default to these things. That's the difference. If you want to use it, there should be no complaints when I pull it out and use it. I mean, it's hilarious. Like, I don't even think, I think like when you're getting ganked, they think they're on to like some new hidden tech or something like that when normal people go into invasions. I seriously think they think this. They're like, oh, this guy's using a magic infused claymore, this guy's using Dark Moon Greatsword, this guy's using a whip, or this guy's not using Bloodhound Step. They're totally clueless. I'm just gonna go in there with my Rivers of Blood, my Moonville, and things like that and nuke them down. And they think like they have this like tiny little circle of knowledge that nobody else has, and it's probably the furthest thing from the truth. Like we know about it, but you know, some of us just like to challenge ourselves. But don't get it twisted. After a day of invading and running into, you know, people who use these things, or people who gank you with, they'll bow to you, next thing you know their buddy's coming out the bushes stabbing you in the freaking back, and you're just like, bro, what's going on? And they're teabagging, they're pointing down. Like, if you see me teabag and point down, it's returning the favor. Like, I remember who I invaded. I remember who did what. I remember who. I'm just returning the favor. Like, I don't do these things. Right? A win is a win to me. A loss is a loss to me. But if you want to go get extra with it and do extra things, 9 times out of 10, if you reinvade those same people who fooled you into that fake 1v1 or whatever, you're going to invade them again because they're probably running Taunter's tongue and pulling people in just to do these things. Now, do I think it's malicious or have a problem with it? No, but a lot of other people do. They're like, why are you teabagging that guy? Why are you pointing out? Bruh, you don't know what happened in the 15 minutes. Like, I cut these clips because every video would be 5 hours. You don't know what happened between the 15 minutes of me making this clip or what happened an hour before that or 20 minutes before. You know nothing. You know what you see. Like, that's that. And of course I could dedicate an entire video to these guys, but why would I? I don't even find it that serious. But the point is, you get what you give from now on. For the longest, I was like, I'm not going to use Rivers. I'm not going to use Moonville. I'm not going to use Great Sword Poke. I'm not going to do these things. And then I'm just like, no. Like, these dudes are running around doing whatever they want. When they get done doing it, they climb on a roof and sit there for a break, trying to farm, like, rooms for ineffectively. Like, I'm tired of giving people the benefit of the doubt. I might start going into invasions with like a Moonville or a Rivers or dual spears equipped. Like, I'll change off them if things look normal, but I'm not finna handicap myself. So you can say I'm honorless when you're doing the same thing. Like, how am I the honorless one? Like, you get what you get from now on with me. That's just facts. Like, I don't really care. I don't care if people watching like it. I'm not uploading and with 1 million subs making millions of dollars off this shit. I upload things I think are cool, things I like, things I think are informative, things I just think is hilarious. Sometimes, I mean, it might not be funny to you, but the situations and things that happen in this game, trust me, sometimes I'm probably laughing like 70% of my playtime. Like, if I see somebody get hit in the head with a throwing dagger and their character starts face planting on the ground mid-air, I'm going to laugh and I'm probably going to upload that. I'm not going to lie. If I see somebody role playing as Will Smith or something like that, or a Ninja Turtle, I'm probably going to upload that. If I get a kill I think it's cool, I'm going to upload that. If somebody kills me, I'm going to upload that. Like, people were like, and one deal, like, why don't you upload losses? Like, I don't do it in the little short clips, but every montage I upload, it's gonna have all the kills I've had from that point. If I haven't uploaded a kill, or you think you've killed me and hasn't uploaded, I'm combing through probably hundreds of clips, so it's either in the past montages, or this one, or a future one that's coming up. I have no problem uploading losses. In fact, I think it shows that the air of immortality and invincibility that people portray in this game is just false. Like, we all out there taking L's. Now, when I mean I upload my losses, I mean I upload losses from 1v1s. I'm not going to upload every loss from an invasion. That's ridiculous. Like, it's no point. But from 1v1s, you can definitely learn a lot from the losses and things like that. Invasions are just chaotic. You're more than likely bound to lose those unless you play perfectly regardless. So just by default, you should just be like, yo, he probably lost a couple of those before he got those wins. But I don't know, if I'm losing a 1v1, I don't care who it is to name it. I don't care if it's a complete potato or trash can. I'm gonna upload it because it happened. Like, I'm not trying to fool anyone and pretend everything's perfect play. I mean, you could probably tell by the weapon choices and things I use. I mean, you can see my armors sometimes isn't got the best poise or anything like there is a optimal setup to get poise for these invasions and things like that. You throw in the veteran's armor, that's dumb looking hat. Well, the hat's cool, but the helmet, the face to it is just so stupid. The Lionel armor or something, like, so stupid. Like, they should allow you to take that off and just wear the hat. That would be cool. I'd probably put that hat on because this hat no longer benefits me at all, since I'm not casting frost spells or anything like that. I don't even think it affects the moon, like greatsword's beam from the testing I've done. But all in all, man, like I said, you'll probably see Moonville in this video. Probably see whatever I can get my hands on in this video. I like the intelligence playstyle. The reason I went more towards this is because I liked my melee strength build a lot, but I kind of missed the magic fashion. I know that sounds kind of silly, but the magic fashion and the ability to use like a little casting and things if I wanted to. Like, yeah, I could use the sleep pulley crossbow, which was crazy, and the cannon, but really I could use those things on this build too, believe it or not. I have the 16 strength and 16 dex for the pulley crossbow, just by default for using Moonville and Dark Moon Greatsword. Dark Moon Greatsword requires 16 strength and Moonville requires 18 dex, so I could use the pulley on here. And I can use the cannon too. I wasn't using the cannon for like DPS purposes, even though on this build, me not reaching the stat requirements for strength, it still smacks when you use explosive and lightning bolts, so I don't even understand it. And of course, my main purpose was invading the Hellic tree, or Hellic tree, I don't know what the hell it's called, but with all the branches and shit, and knocking people off, and the knockback still works 100%. So yeah, I just decided to default to this build because I'm not like pigeonholed. Like, the whole thing on using the strength build was to try out different weapons, you know, but the ability to infuse most weapons and things with the type you're using, like I can put my claymore on and it can be magic, you know. So with this Zweinhinder or Zweihinder, whatever, however the hell you put it on, and it can be magic or cold. So these are things that I was like, the only real benefit I had of strength is that those weapons would scale better, and like the magic scaling on them isn't as high as it would be with the heavy or the fire infusions, but it's still decent. Like, it's 730 AR, so I don't mind it on the, like, I'm just going by the claymore. Of course the other weapons are going to be more, but it still has the same functionality, you know, decent damage, and does well for the moveset. So I figured all those things I was doing on my strength and dex build, I can just do on this build with the weapons. The only real downside is that at 125 you can't really optimize those things. And what I mean by that, like if I wanted to put on like the little Guts Greatsword, the Colossal Greatsword, I think it's just called Greatsword, you know, everybody's favorite poking weapon, which I'm not saying I have I mean, I know it sounds like it in my voice, but I don't really have a problem with the poke outside that it's really weird to dodge and latency. Like, it's very inconsistent, but, and that you see it everywhere now, but that's just because of the popularity of YouTubers and things like that. But my initial point being is that because this is an intelligence build and how I built it, I'm like slightly lower in health in order to you know, favor FP just a little bit more, and slightly lower on stam than I would be on my strength build. So swinging around those colossal weapons isn't really optimal, but all in all, you know, it's a trade-off, but it's not like completely damaging. And I wanted to stick to one build and play style because I was just so sick of jumping around. Like, when I'm trying to actually learn the game and get better and, you know, focus on a select few weapons and things like that. And that's another reason I only bring out like Boomville when I see these cheesy things like this. You know, I don't bring it out. Let me clarify this. I bring it out in instances where I'm outnumbered. Like, I don't bring it out like, I know you'll see instances where it looks like it's a 1v1, but there's like there's like 15 minutes. I had a lot of clips that were 15 minutes and I was gonna upload as their own, and throughout those 15 minutes, like, a couple blues died. It's mostly when there's blues involved and I have to kill them rather quickly, and then I go back to fighting the host. I'm like, well, you know, you attacked me while this blue was here. I'm not gonna give you the benefit of the doubt of swapping off of something like Moonville or Rivers or something like that. You know, I'm just going to continue that way when another blue, because the frequency at which the blues pop up, sometimes you'll get 2 at a time, things like this, and you don't really, I'm not the king of hard swapping, you know. I'm a advocate for it. I like the fact that you can do that, but like this guy here, he was bipolar. Like he would attack me from behind when the blues were in there, and I'm like, no, bro, I've had enough. Like it wasn't anything serious. We were like throwing pots and knives and little spells and things that tickled, and I'm like, I had enough. But it looks like we had started, you know, from a pure 1v1 standpoint, you know, but like I started with the movie. But no, I don't really swap to this in 1v1. I don't, and if I do, I'm gonna not use the weapon art, you know. But if you've been ganking me or outnumbered, or there's guys there, like you see in the background, those guys were, luckily a red had came and distracted that dude. But to you, that looked like I just pulled out Moonville and 1v1'd him. But no, I cut these clips like there's proof right there. Like, I just have to cut the clips. And this dude, you don't know what went on there, but he was like ambushing from the slow walk in the lava, and he'd been sitting there just ambushing with the pull in gravity freaking move. And I finally just had enough, put on Moonville. Like, fool me once, yeah, it's funny, but I've had enough. But no, in 1v1s, I don't default to this. I barely pull it out. Like, even if you have Rivers or Moonville, I'll counter you with the weapon I have, and that's that. Like, this guy, just find him in a thing that, like, he's doing stupid things, like ganking you. Like, I'm not going to give you the benefit of the doubt. No, I'm just going to come in, nuke you, give you a taste of your own medicine. Flat out. But if it's a normal 1v1 or something, I'll use a weapon I have, or I'll hard swap to a different weapon, but I won't be a cheesy weapon. No, again, when I call a weapon cheesy, I'm not saying it's that way. I'm just saying it's how most of the community would perceive the weapon. Like, I'm under the, like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Use what you want to use. I personally don't care. It's just like, let's not think we're good when we're doing it, you know. It doesn't take a lot of effort, you know, to use these weapons, especially outnumbered. Like, in 1v1s, I could see, like, you can totally outplay someone using Moonville. You can totally outplay a Rivers of Blood user. I've never had a problem with these weapons 1v1. The only thing I've had a problem with, like, consistently 1v1 is Bloodhound Step, because you literally can't counter it. Yes, I've killed the Bloodhound Step users, but that's not really me countering it. That's them running out of FP or them making stupid mistakes. Like, a good player with Bloodhound Step is probably unpunishable, especially with latency. You can't even do anything against it. But it's really the only thing I had, like, an issue with that I would call just outright unfair. Now, are there some things that are overperforming? Yes, I'm not going to sit here and say a River and Moonville in good hands aren't better than, or even the Ultra Great Swords aren't in good hands. These things are deadly, but you know, there's always going to be a thing that's at the top. If these get nerfed, there'll be something else that takes its place that's even more powerful. Like, no one talks about seppuku dual wield spears or whatever the fuck there is, or fucking bleed fucking bills that, you know, dual wield curved swords and the like. So, damn squeaky ass chair. But, you know, like, what I would say is use these things, use them to counter things, use them for fun, use them how you want, but don't use them in a sense that they will, like, dull your skill. Like, I used Moonville for about a week, and this is probably all the footage I have of it. I'm not saying I won't use it again if in a situation that requires it, but I had to get back to, like, now my main weapon is, like, well, it's always been Dark Moon Great Sword as a main weapon, but now I'm playing around with the Magic Claymore just because I like the moveset a bit better. And you know, going against a lot of things with this weapon is just painful. But, you know, at the same time, I learned how to counter these things, and I think it's making me a better player when I pull a win off with it versus using something like Moonveil Rivers of Blood. That's the only reason I wouldn't say use those weapons. Like, even if you're ganking me, like, I don't care if you're using it, because, you know, you paid your $60 for your game, go ahead and do so. The problem lies in when you're using it and think it's skillful and that you've accomplished something. Like, no, you really haven't. You haven't even challenged yourself with a setup like this. And that's why I pull it out to, like, it's more of a humbling thing. Like, I pull it out with a weapon you couldn't kill me with outnumbered, and then I, like, one-shot you and your 1 to 2 phantoms and friends, and it's like, see, it's really easy when you know what you're doing. You're not really accomplishing anything. But all in all, I don't want to get used to weapons like those, because it'll be all you know, and like I said, you'll be playing like trash when you go to get a weapon that's far inferior. Like, yeah, you can go from a Moonveil to a Rivers and still do good, or you can go from Rivers to Great Sword Poke and still do good, or Dual Spears and still do good. But when you start to branch off into the other weapons, you'll suddenly realize that, holy shit, I'm not as good as I thought I was. Like, so all in all, I know I went off on a bit of a tangent, but I think these weapons have a bit of a they get a lot of unnecessary hate because of the people behind them. You know, I've watched tournaments, had little mini tournaments, and people with these weapons get destroyed. Like, in fact, they're like so inferior. I've seen, like, the meta ends up shaping out to be you barely see weapons like Rivers and Moonveil in high level play. Like, am I saying I'm a high level player? No, but I have watched these things go down. I've watched their videos. I've watched dueling montages from these people, and more often than not, like, even though these things are allowed in the tournament scene, they're just like, no. Actually, it's just like basically Ultra Great Sword Poke for some reason. I guess that's one of the most viable things. I used to actually play Ultra Great Sword a lot before the buffs, but once again, like, what I thought was the default, really the only viable move it had, it actually got buffed, and that became a problem for everyone. So I'm choosing not to rely on it, even though I do miss it. That's another reason I swapped off my strength build, because I'm like, well, if all it is it's keeping me on here, it's just like free range to use the Ultra Great Swords. Not, I call them Ultra Great Swords, but they're Colossals in this game. But, you know, that was really what was all it was keeping me on strength. And I'm like, well, everything else I'm doing on strength, I could just do on a melee intelligence build. And the reason I'm not also using spells too much on this build is because, like I said, it's an entirely different ball game when you can mix up things like shoot out a quick swift glintstone shard and carry and slice. I'm really trying to up my melee game, like, in all these situations, because 9 times out of 10, maybe in a duel you'll be alright if you're the one summoned. If you're not the one summoned, then you probably have like 7 blue flask, even though I don't think that's fair. But some host, it's another reason I don't put my sign down anymore. Like, I just pull signs in, because some people just spawn in with like 7 blue. You spawn in, there's some of you, 7 blue flasks. They'll use all 7. They'll pop a rune art. They'll do all types of weird shit in their world. Like, if I'm summoning somebody, I'm going to use my 2 flasks like I would allocate to if I was invading, and that's it. But it just makes things last way longer than they should. And don't get it twisted, like, I'm all for anything goes in invasions, but the thing is, those guys are not. They here's the thing, and I hear this a lot, like, most people that watch invasions or on the side of the people who gank you are like, they expect you to stand there in the blender. They just want you to stand still, let them cast their Oakley things, let them shred you to pieces, and go. You take one step to go reposition behind a tree, a rock, find some any ads or anything. You say, why you running, bro? Where you going? What are you talking about? Like, who would stand there and just get absolutely destroyed by 3 to 4 people? That doesn't make sense. Of course I'm going to use my terrain and environment to my advantage. I'm going to kite. I'm going to find a way to beat you all, because going against you 4 people at once is suicide. Like, it's ridiculous. I don't understand what they want, but also it's an invasion. I didn't come in here to be your friend. The very fact that I'm invading means I want your neck. Like, it's I don't understand. Like, of course, if I invade and it's a fight club or some guy wants to 1v1, I'll survey the situation and I'll give it a go. But 9 times out of 10, that 1v1 is another dude creeping in the bushes. So I'm skeptical of that. But people are like, well, invasions, anything goes, but they think that only applies to the invader. I mean, the gankers. Like, the invader pulls out a freaking rivers of blood and runs through a doorway and channels them off or funnels them all into the doorway and chops them all to bits. They're all of a sudden, you're cheese. You're using cheese. Meanwhile, they all have the rivers of blood too. You just used it better than them. It's so ridiculous. They're like, oh, but you ran. Sir, there are 3 of you. Probably 4 if they have the blue damn ring on. Like, I don't know what you want from me. Like, if anything goes in invasions for gankers, it damn sure should go. Everything's against the invader. We don't get rune arcs. We don't get special buffs. There's more of you than us. If I have a Moonville, you can have 4, 3, 2, whatever it is. Like, nothing is in our favor. So, this idiot. I'm sorry, I was recording. What are you doing? This is another. Us Reds have the same goal, but at times it seems like I've never had this problem in the other Souls games. Like, I'm a Souls vet. I played all of them, played the PvP in all of them, whether it be Bloodborne, played every game they ever made, even the remakes, even Sekiro. Like, I've played them all. And even though Sekiro didn't have PvP, the ones that did have it, it would be like a freaking unicorn to see a red attack another red. Unless, and I guess you can't apply that to Dark Souls 3 since they had the mound makers or whatever it is. Y'all can correct me. But the purples, where you can attack anyone. But all in all, in games like this, like Elden, I just don't get it. I mean, do you? But it's weird to me. Like, I know you can't compare games to real life, but for lack of a better comparison, it's like you see 2 to 3 dudes just stomping some guy out on the street, and then you just walk up there and, like, you don't help the guy that's getting stomped out, you help the guy stomping him out. Just continue. Now it's 4 of you stomping him out. Like, I don't get it. Like, I don't get it. And it's not like, the super bad thing about it is that the people that are ganking the people you invaded, they're not going to stop attacking that guy you attacked. They're going to see the red and they're going to be like, all right, let's use this to our advantage. Now you're just helping them out. You're helping them kill me, and they're going to turn around and kill you next. They're not your friend, unless it is your friend you had invade, but using Tarnished Tongue and things like that, I don't even know if that's a regular, like, you can do that, like, on demand, or do you have to try again. But yeah, other than that, I just don't see, like, why are you helping these guys attack me? I'm pretty sure the point of it, you might as well have to put your sign down and join them. At least there'll be no friendly fire. But I don't get it. People are going to do what they want, but that kind of almost irritates me more than Bloodhound Step, believe it or not. Like, what are you doing? And and it's usually terrible reds. Sorry for the squeaky chair, but I'm sitting here for 30 minutes recording this, so but yeah, that literally like annoys me more than Bloodhound Step users, which I'll go ahead and get into it. This is probably the only thing I would ever actually like seriously complain about. All the weapons and shit are only really bad to me in a outnumbered situation. I can basically counter all of them 1v1 quite easily. And even in outnumbered situations, I'm learning to counter them. If I don't, I just whip out the same weapon. That's fine. But Bloodhound Step, it artificially lengthens fights. Like fights that would have been over are no longer over. It allows people to escape things that would otherwise have killed them long ago. Like, yes, healing flasks are unfair, but you can kind of, if you outplay somebody, whittle them down or pressure them when they're going to use them and beat them. But with Bloodhound Step, they can use it with immunity. Doesn't matter, they're going to always get their flask off. And with the right setup of weapon like dual spears, they're more than likely going to kill you. I don't care how good you are. I've seen some of the best. I'm not going to call out YouTubers or something like this, but there's videos out there of them. Some guy mindlessly mashing seppuku, spears, and Bloodhound Step and annihilating them. It's unskillful. Another thing it does is ignore the very game mechanics. You're supposed to have timing. You're supposed to time your rolls, time your dodges, time your blocks, All that goes out the window with Bloodhound Step. You don't have to time shit. You just mash the button. It's faster than running. Creates unnecessary distance. Look, listen to me. I forgot to say this up front, but in PvE, who gives a shit? I would argue for PvE, they could buff it and I wouldn't give a shit. Some of those bosses and shit are high-key annoying. Don't care. I wouldn't mind if they buffed it for PvE, nerfed it for PvP. But it's ridiculous. Like, Quick Step exists. This Bloodhound Step shouldn't be a thing. Quick Step, when used correctly, can alleviate a lot of damage, a lot of counterplay, but when used incorrectly, you can definitely 100% punish it. Bloodhound Step, no, not at all. There's no way to punish it. They run out of freaking blue. It doesn't matter. They pop more. Or they make the build with 99 FP and it still does damage. So either way. And if you do finally win, it's taken 30 to 45 minutes of your time to get that victory. Listen, all my duels last as long as my flask. They're shorter or they're about the length of the flask. They've never been longer. Like that little tier I have in my thing, or the little, sometimes I use the regen bubbles and things like that, have never run out. They have from getting hit, don't get me wrong, but from a time that none of my duels, not one I've had this entirety of this game has went over the timer. And those things last about 3 minutes. Not one. And my invasions are the same way. My invasions, without like Bloodhound Step and things like that, or without super sweaty ganker groups, aren't over that 3-minute mark either. Now, granted, if I'm in like the snow field or somewhere where I have to go find them or things like that, I'm not actually allocating that time to it. I'm allocating the time to where I actually start initiating combat. It's roughly 3 to 5 minutes on those, but add a Bloodhound Step user to that, and yes, those things can take upwards of 15 to 20 minutes. For what? Fighting the same person, just artificially lengthening the fights for no reason, letting the unskillful pretend that they are skillful. I'm not saying Ultra Great Sword Poke is skillful. I'm not saying Pebble in the R2 is skillful. I'm not saying Moonville, Rivers of Blood is skillful. I'm not saying anything is skillful, but all those things have counters, can be played around, can be played against, so it doesn't really matter if they're doing it or not, unskilled or not. You're going to be able to punish it. Bloodhound Step does not share that. It doesn't at all. you walk into a video like Bloodhound Step, but you won. Yes, because this guy didn't have more than 3 brain cells. If he did, I'd be laying on the ground staring at a load screen. Easily. Yet, even though this guy was unskilled and I won, the fight lasted 15 to 30 minutes. Makes no sense. But that's basically my thoughts on all the broken things in the game, on the build I'm playing, why I'm playing it, why I use the weapons I use. I mean, a lot of these questions come up in my comment section, things like that. What I do and what I don't have a problem with, what I think is fair, what I don't think is fair. You can agree with me, you can disagree. That's totally fine. I don't have a problem with it. Yeah, it's not me if your comment disappears, something like that. You said something crazy and YouTube got on your ass about it. And you probably have a habit of it because I doubt they just single you out from a singular comment, although I have seen that happen, but it's full of profanity and things like that. Like, I'll still get the comment to my inbox and notifications, but it won't be there when I go to reply. So, because I'm used to like saying weird things back to people as well. So, but all in all, I can't even do that anymore because they delete everything. You can't even, I don't know, YouTube is censoring you, not me, but whether it's critical or non-critical or whatever, leave your thoughts down below. But I hope I summed up everything in my video, why you seen Moonville, why you see rivers, why you may see great swords or things like that in the future. But all in all, I'm well, colossal great swords. All in all, I'm a really like normal, chill, great sword player. Magic infused claymore, dark moon great sword with little weapon swaps on the side, and I don't really think anything is undillable with. But I do think people should stop thinking they're good because they do use the things that carry them. And Bloodhound Step is complete garbage. Hope I summed all that up. Peace.